Hey everybody. Alright, I'm gonna flip this camera around. Sorry about the noise. There is an event happening here at WeWork, so hopefully you can hear me all right. Let's see who's here. Who is here? We're gonna wait a little bit for people to join us. I'm Heather Rebecca Wilson, and I'm a multicultural women's success coach and motivational speaker. All right, so we have more people showing up. Hey everybody, where are you joining us from? Let me know. I'm in Washington, D.C. at the moment. I'm in the WeWork space in DuPont Circle, and they have a lot of cool events here, so you meet cool people all the time, but it's a little loud right now. So we're just gonna wait a few more moments for people to join. Okay, guess we'll start. All right, so like I said, I'm Heather Rebecca Wilson, motivational speaker and multicultural women's success coach. So welcome to the scope. And this scope is all about, you know, the #1 misconception people have about what it takes to be a leader, you know, AKA why I was crying on Periscope last night. So if you guys didn't catch it, I was scoping last night about the reason I created my teleclass, which is called Master Your Mix, the Multicultural Woman's Guide to Success. And, you know, it's something, you know, that class is my baby, and it's the culmination of, you know, all the personal and professional work that I've done over the years as an artist, a diversity practitioner, an educator, as a speaker and a coach. So I'm sharing everything that I've learned and used to really live, you know, and my fullest life, my best life, and to be the highest expression of myself. And, you know, just recounting the story of what inspired me to create the course, you know, really brought me back to the way I felt at the time. And I felt so strongly about this experience that I had in this multiracial, multicultural affinity group at this conference. It was the People of Color Conference, and it's run by the National Association of Independent Schools. I had such a crazy experience there. You know, just to tell you a little bit about it, I had never been to this conference before, and it's a really awesome conference. It's in a different U.S. city every year. I think they're starting to repeat some cities now. So this year the conference is going to be in Tampa, and I'm actually presenting at this conference. But anyway, it's 3 days long. It's for independent school educators and, yeah, you know, board members, administrators, teachers, you know, people who work in admissions, financial aid, blah, blah, blah. So there are featured keynote speakers, and there are tons of really cool and interesting workshops to attend. And then in the afternoons, it's optional to participate in different affinity groups, depending on how you self-identify. So for those of you who don't know what an affinity group is I would call it like a safe space or a container for those who self-identify in the same way to share about their lives, to really open up in a space where they don't feel like they have to teach, because everybody understands where they're coming from. So, you know, there are different types of groups. There's like affinity groups, alliance groups, and interest groups, and I can go into that another time. But this was my first affinity group experience at the People of Color Conference, and it was really one of the best experiences of my life, because up until then I had never been around so many other multiracial people. So when I was growing up, the only multiracial people I really knew were my brother and my sister. So you know, as a result, I didn't have anybody in my life to model how to embrace my multiracial identity in a positive way. So, you know, growing up, I thought that, you know, I was the same as everybody else up until about 9 years old. And when I was 9, so this is the story, when I was 9, I realized that a bunch of my friends were attending this dance class or a cotillion thing where, you know, they would dress up and learn, you know, about manners and socialize with each other, and I'm sure all of my guy friends hated it. In fact, you know, I've talked to them about it since then, and even at the time they're like, oh, we don't like it. But, you know, as a 9-year-old girl who liked to socialize and do all those things, I wanted to be a part of it. So I remember asking my friends, you know, how do I, you know, join in? And they tell me that I have to be invited, and so I need to like talk to my parents about it. So I remember asking my parents, you know, can you look into this for me? I really want to do this. And so, you know, a little time had passed, and my parents, you know, come to me and say, you know, Heather, we talked to Mrs. So-and-so, and she said that, you know, maybe you can, you know, be invited next year, right? And I was like, okay, maybe I can be invited next year. That's weird. Okay. So, and then, you know, not too long after that, I hear from my friends who, you know, are 9 years old, that this class, this event, does not allow Black people to attend. And, you know, they're kids at this point, so they're obviously hearing this from the adults in their lives and probably their parents. And the weird thing was that it seemed to be okay with everybody. So, like, it was okay that, you know, we socialized at school and at each other's houses, but, like, this thing was separate, and this thing was something that I couldn't be a part of, and everybody was okay with it. So that was a lot for a 9-year-old to digest, and I don't think I really fully digested it until a few years ago. So, you know, it was in that moment that I realized, like, wow, like, I'm not one of them, and I never will be one of them. And so, you know, as a result of that experience, I internalized this idea that I wasn't good enough, that I didn't fit in, and that, you know, I needed to be perfect in order to be loved. And so that was, you know, the limiting belief that, you know, ran the show of my life for many, many years. And that experience, in addition to another one, where I was rejected by, you know, the kids in the BSU in high school, you know, those were some those were some emotional blocks for me, because I just think at that age, it's really hard to process stuff about your racial identity. I mean, at that age, you don't have the language to articulate what you're feeling. And of course, at that age, I didn't understand the difference between a thought and a feeling. So that experience, those two experiences, you know, lived in my body as energy. And I remember, like, anytime the topic of, like, race or racial identity came up, like, I would literally turn red. I would start sweating, my throat would close up, and my heart would start racing. So, you know, it was when I was about 35, and going through a breakup, when I realized that, you know, I was way too hard on myself, and I was just intuitively guided to a coach, you know, because I felt like I really need to unpack this. You know, why am I so hard on myself? And, you know, thank God for that coach. Thank God I humbled myself and reached out for help. You know, and it all came from, you know, these identity development issues. And so I did a lot of work on myself, and, you know, was so happy and liberated after I did all that work. So I guess maybe only a few months later, after I really, really worked hard on myself, I went to this conference, right? So I was participating in this multiracial affinity group. And I guess at the end of the second session or the first session, you know, one of the facilitators was you know, taking the emotional temperature of the room, which is what good facilitators will always do. So what this guy did was use a thing called the hum-o-meter. And, you know, the first thing he said was, everybody needs to hum really loudly right now. So we all hummed. And then he was like, okay, be quiet. And then he asked, you know, who here felt like this was a productive session, right? And so like this was the hum-o-meter. So we all hummed pretty much, because I think everybody felt like it was a productive session. And so, you know, the hum-o-meter like went up like this, right? Everybody was humming pretty loudly. And then his next question was, who here feels beautiful? And like I said, I did a ton of work on myself, so I was feeling really good. I was like, yeah, I feel beautiful, cool. You know, I was like humming really loudly, and then I realized nobody is humming around me, and maybe a few people, and they're humming really softly. So I was just like, my God, like, this is crazy. Like, this is weird. Like, how is it that, like, I'm in a room with, like, 70 of the most beautiful people and really smart, accomplished, kind people? Like, how is it that none of these people feel confident enough in themselves to celebrate themselves? And that really broke my heart, and I left that experience just feeling so it really blew me away. And what I realized was that all those people in that room were basically in the same spot that I was in not too long ago, right? They felt like they weren't good enough. They felt like failures. They felt like, you know, they felt misunderstood. So that really broke my heart. And I just, you know, my mind was reeling after that experience. And I was like, I need to do something about this. Like, this is effed up. And I can't stand this. I just felt really moved to take some sort of action. So at first I thought, okay, like, I need to go back to the school that I work at and do a presentation on affinity groups, because this was such a powerful experience for me. And I also don't think that most people in independent schools understand what affinity groups are and why they're so important. So I was all ready to, like, you know, give this presentation on affinity groups where I basically, like, shame people into, you know, starting them and whatever. But then I realized that, like, I need to employ storytelling here, because that's how you really reach people. So anyway, I ended up doing a presentation on multiracial identity development a few months later, and it was centered around my story growing up in a very white suburb, in a white independent school outside of Washington, D.C., and what that was really like to feel like an outsider, right? Like, I never felt like I was Filipino enough for the Filipino side of my family. I didn't feel like I was black enough for the black side, and I certainly didn't feel white enough for my friends at school. So, yeah, that whole affinity group experience totally brought me back. So anyway, I was sharing this story on Periscope last night, right? Because as a result of this experience, I've created this course. And I just started, you know, I just got really emotional. I started crying because, you know, this project, like I said, is the culmination of all the personal and professional work that I've done over the years. And it's in alignment with my purpose. And I think when you are in alignment with your purpose, like, you know, you're going to feel something, like something gets activated in you. And my phone was so full of Periscopes that it actually didn't record it. So, you know, I was kind of in a panic, but also I was like, well, maybe, you know, I got too emotional and, like, it was meant to be that it didn't get recorded, blah, blah, blah. But I was able to figure it out. I'm going to post that Periscope on the Master Your Mix page. So you can watch it on heatherrebeccawilson.com /Master Your Mix. But I found a way to record it, and what I realized was that, you know what, it's a good thing that I did get emotional. I mean, I didn't get out of control. You know, I was still able to express myself and relay my message clearly, at least I thought. At least I thought I did, but you know, this brings me to the reason why I'm giving this scope. So, what was I saying? Sorry, there's like notifications coming on my phone, which is not supposed to be happening. But anyway, you know, the topic of the scope is, you know, what is the #1 misconception about what it takes to be a leader? And in my opinion, the #1 misconception about leadership is that being a leader is all about showing off and being the boss and telling other people what to do. And that is so far from what leadership is really about. And in my opinion, you know, being a leader is all about inspiring other people and bringing out the best in other people and moving them. This reminds me of something, you know, my mentor, Gabby Bernstein, said in our Spirit Junkie Masterclass, which was an awesome experience, by the way. I did that last September, about a year ago. She said that when you are moved by your message will move the masses. And I'm definitely moved by my message. I mean, I'm surprised I didn't start crying in this Periscope, actually. But yeah, I think being a good leader is about bringing out the best in other people and like articulating a message that moves other people to take action, right? To find the best in themselves, to find their purpose, and to self-actualize and you know, find out what they're here on this planet to do. You know, what are their talents? What are their gifts? So yeah, that's what I think leadership is all about. I mean, I'm certainly not inspired by people who, you know, claim to be leaders who, you know, are all about themselves and showing off. And yeah, I mean, that's not leadership to me. I find that the best leaders are very humble. And you know, the other thing I would say is that, you know, I think some people might think that like when you're a leader you have to show strength at all times. And for me, like, I like to see that my leaders are real people and that they feel things and are emotionally intelligent and socially intelligent and can pick up on the energy of other people. So yeah, I really want to see that, you know, if I'm going to follow somebody, I want to know that they're a real human being, basically. So, you know, I'm sure that, you know, some people would say, you know, I shouldn't have cried on Periscope and I'm weak and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? Whatever. I don't care. Like, this is who I am. And I think, you know, we should all, you know, love and accept ourselves for who we really are. You know, like, I'm certainly not perfect, but the way I think about it is that I'm perfectly imperfect, right? My perfection lies in my imperfection. And I think when you are aware of and accept your light and your shadow, that's where your real power comes from. I mean, I think your power comes from, you know, being in your pleasure and joy and, yeah, just like knowing who you are. It comes from, you know, personal mastery. And I'm all about culturally competent personal mastery, which is like having a 360-degree view of your identity, right? Because if, you know, you want to move the masses with your message, you better know how to move them, right? You better know what motivates them. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. Yeah, being a leader isn't about being bossy, telling people what to do, showing off. No, it's really not about that. It's really about being a real human being and inspiring others to be the best version of themselves. So I hope that serves you. I, you know, launched this class yesterday. Registration is open, and I've got early bird pricing happening until September 16th. So like I said, if you want to see, you know, the Periscope that I did yesterday, which explains, you know, why I created this course, please visit heatherrebeccawilson.com/masteryourmix. Yeah, I would love to hear from you. You guys, please send me an email. Let me know if you have any questions about it. You know, I would say like the number one question I'm getting from people so far is, you know, what do you mean by multicultural? And first of all, so the course is designed for smart, creative, ambitious, multicultural or multiracial women who desire to be global leaders and create transformational change in their communities. So the way I'm defining multicultural is like if your parents are from two different cultures, or if you lived in one culture as a kid and live in another culture now, or your family culture was different than the majority culture, right? Like maybe that's like you know, lived in one neighborhood as a kid and then went to school in another neighborhood as a kid, you know, that was really, really different. So, you know, I'm open to any other definitions of multicultural, you know, that you guys have. I think, you know, while the course is designed for multiracial, multicultural people, I do think that anybody can benefit from participating in this course because, you know, I think if you want to have better and deeper and more authentic relationships with people in your life, right, with coworkers, with friends and family, business partners, team members, clients, you know, whoever, like, you will get something out of this course. If you desire to be more culturally competent, and that means, you know, the ability to work effectively across differences without judgment and with curiosity and humility, you will get something out of this course. I mean, I think anybody who desires to be a global leader and wants to create transformational change in their community would benefit from the course. And like I said, it's the culmination of all the personal and professional work that I've done over the years, and I'm really sharing with you the strategies that I've used to really become the person that I am today. And I'm super happy, and I feel like I'm living on purpose. And just so you guys know, my purpose is to be a healing and loving and empowering presence in the lives of people around me, and being a coach and an entrepreneur like this allows me to live on purpose. So I really just want that for everybody. So that's what I wanted to say. If you want to follow me on Facebook, I invite you to do that. My business page is heatherrebeccawilson.com. I also have 2 Facebook groups. The first one is called The Glamorous Global Entrepreneur, and that is for, you know, fabulous, badass, you know, women entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs that, you know, really want to be the fullest expression of themselves without apology, right? So for me, that's, you know, traveling all over the world, you know, wearing fashionable clothes, you know, being fit, you know, I mean, wearing makeup. I mean, like, it's so funny in DC, I think, I've encountered a lot of judgment around putting makeup on and stuff like that, and, you know, this is who I am. I enjoy it. And so anyway, you'll get the picture. Go to the site and, go to the group and read the description. And if it resonates with you, I invite you to join. I'm really trying to create a community of amazing, like-minded women that just want to kick ass, basically, and not apologize for who they are. The second group that I have created is called Mixing It Up in Business, and it's for multiracial or multicultural entrepreneurs. So that's more of an affinity space, right? If you self-identify that way, this is a safe space for us to have conversations, support each other, and share resources. So again, that group is called Mixing It Up in Business. So what else? I'm on Instagram. The handle's Heather Rebecca Wilson. I'm obviously on Periscope. What else? Oh, I have a YouTube channel. And yeah, I've created this awesome course called Master Your Mix, the Multicultural Woman's Guide to Success. And don't miss out on the early bird pricing. So basically the regular price of the course is $397, like one full payment of $397, or 3 monthly payments of $150. For 1 week only, I'm doing early bird pricing, so the payment in full would be $297, and then the monthly payment would be $120 instead of $150. Okay, and then in addition to that, the first 10 people who purchase the course, who register, will receive a complimentary 90-minute coaching session from me over the phone or over Skype, which I'm really excited to offer you guys. So yeah, lots of exciting things are happening. You know, the other thing I would say is, if you feel like you're having a hard time getting in touch with your softer side or your more vulnerable side, definitely check out a TED Talk by Brene Brown called, hi Doug, called The Power of The Power of Vulnerability. And I watched it for the first time. Thank you. Lots of hearts. I want more hearts. Thank you. Keep tapping. I need more hearts. I watched that the first day of the Diversity Leadership Institute. I forget what year it was, like 2014, 2013, in the summer. Thank you. I love all those hearts. So, you know, and that was awesome. You know, I love the fact that I was at a leadership workshop, and it all started with being vulnerable. So, you know, that's really the point of this scope. You know, the number one misconception about what it takes to be a leader is that you need to be bossy and tell other people what to do and be the best and blah, blah, blah. And really what being a leader is all about is about, you know, inspiring people to do their best and bring out the best in themselves. And yeah, and in order to do that, you need to understand how you are perceived, right? You need to have that 360-degree view of your identity, but you also have to know like what motivates people, right? So be vulnerable, you know, be a leader. Yeah, thank you guys so much. Yeah, I hope that serves you, and I will be, thank you for all these hearts. I'll be on Periscope tomorrow talking more about this. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, definitely email me. The site is heatherrebeccawilson.com/master your mix. Okay, thanks a lot. All right, I'm gonna go. All right, bye guys. Mwah. Bye Doug, thank you.